Alright, so here's how I put rear lift spacers in the back of my second generation Toyota 4runner. So these spacers that I bought off of eBay were like 50 bucks. They're steel welded barrels and flat spots to make a, I think, 1.5 inch spacer. I think that the rubber was supposed to fit on this top section here because it would not go around the bottom cylinder. And it definitely goes on the top because the bottom has an angled piece which fits in right there. So what I do is that I detach both shocks. I have it kind of placed on these jack stands. Doesn't seem too wobbly at all, and I have a tire there and a tire there. So if it does come down, this one right to the axle, which I'm being careful not to be, should be fine if it falls, but I make sure it doesn't. So the limiting factor will usually be, where is it here? That soft brake line there. That will limit you. So what you do instead is you take the jack and lift up on the opposite side that you're working on, while the axle's at full droop and the shocks are off, and the sway bar is unbolted. I unbolted the sway bar. You can do this unbolting here, off the axle, whatever way you want to do it. I usually just do the easiest one, which on this vehicle is those two. So then I put some spring compressors on here with an extension on my Milwaukee Impact. Come up from here, and then I tighten down this one a little bit, get it kind of started, then I go over to here, and because of where it goes, you can't tighten it too far or else this thing would have hit up in here. Before. I tried doing it at my apartment, couldn't do it, so I came to my dad's shop, and it's a lot easier. So now that I got it in there, I start decompressing it side by side, so I must be loosening up this side again, and then this side will be all set. I will go over to that side and take the jack out, put it underneath here, and start lifting up to articulate the axle that way. That way, I mean, I tried stepping on it on my previous 4runner, just stretching out the brake hose, but that just wasn't a very wise idea. So yeah, it's a pretty fun, simple little job, and it fixes the rear end sag. Last time I went with the, I think, Moog CC 255 springs. Just check online, Google the numbers. I always say I'm wrong. Could be 225, could be 255, but there's a lot of videos on how to do those. I decided to go with spacers because they're cheaper, and I wanted to see how those performed. So here we go. So here is the second one. That's how they came packaged. This little shrink wrap. And some peanuts in a little tiny box. They're made out of steel, not aluminum, not plastic, not polymer. I probably would have preferred some made out of like a polypropylene, ethylene, whatever the poly is, versus this, but this is what I get, and springs are made out of steel, so it can't be that horrible. So next side here is getting ready. Springs nice and loose in there, so let's get it done. All right, side number 2 is in. It's a little bit of finagling, but it gets in there. So going to drop the jack off of this onto right here. See the exit pivots up on one side and down on the other. And yeah, the shocks are fully extended and it wouldn't be down there. Yeah, you gotta unbolt the shocks. Helps a lot. All right, so down here, just a note, there's 2 little bushings that are shaped like cones. They face inward on the rear shocks, and then there's this beveled washer. You want to have it facing like this so that it holds on there correctly. See if I can do this with one hand. All right. There we go, that started there. So this is side note here. This is a load sensing proportioning valve, LSPV or whatever. Right here, this bad boy will change how much power is set to the rear brakes depending on how much the suspension is sagged from towing. A lot of older vehicles had this. I know at least the Comanche and this one did, and there's a few others that I haven't seen in person but I've heard about. Other than that, other notes about old 4Runners and Toyotas is that that seam right there on the gas tank tends to collect dirt, especially on the frame side, and will rust through, and that's where the tanks leak, even on a rust-free vehicle like this one, which it doesn't leak, but they typically do if there's any kind of grit or salt buildup in there. So get a pressure washer in between your frame and such, and maybe treat that with some oil or fluid film, something to keep that from rusting. Another thing is that on really rusty states, where this one would normally be rusted out right here, fluid can actually leak through the metal housing because the rust will be so severe. So then it's almost no longer safe to jack on and things of that nature. But this one, once again, pristine example. That's not really much of an issue here, but keep an eye out for those things when you're buying a 4Runner like this. All right, and there you have it. It's now pretty level at the front. There you go, there's a more accurate camera view. I'll try to post a before and after picture so you can see what's up, but it looks a whole lot better to me. Goodbye, very rusted out and destroyed muffler. accelerator high performance muffler. Ooh, well, putting in a cherry bomb or thrush or whatever it is that I had in the back there. I can't see nothing. Whatever. Well, here we go. Straight pipe video. This is gonna be nasty. Wow, that's pretty quiet. Okay, not that quiet. All right, new muffler is going on in. See a little sparky spark here. Oh, it's coming out. Yeet. Smoke's just like hanging in the air. It's kind of cool. All right, here we go. Muffler's in. It's riding nice and level. Beautiful. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna post this up on, I think, YouTube, and then probably to my personal page, Jmar's Cars, Instagram and Facebook. Wow, this thing is just dead quiet now. Amazing.